Hi, and welcome to Tom's Take for Easter weekend. I want to say thank you again to my friend Kathleen Whalen of Whalen Financial in downtown LaSalle for her support on this video and radio project. It's been a big week. The election, the weather, some corporate news that came out. I'm not going to touch on the weather much. We've been through enough of that, but I'll take a look at the election and some other things too. So the election brought up some interesting contrasts and results, I think. After a 4-year period that included a bunch of drama, Oglesby seems to have decided to settle down a little bit and move ahead with what's hopefully going to be a drama-free council, at least relatively. LaSalle seems to have gone in the other direction, recommitting itself to putting business growth on the back burner in favor of staying the course, whatever course that is that they're on. And there's no reason to expect the city to make any progress on pushing back on any branch of the Karras family, the chemical fire branch or the incomplete hulking eyesore branch of CL Enterprises. The second ward even re-elected a council member who's supposed to be facilitating communications between the city and CL Enterprises. With the hope of impressing on CL, they need to complete the Maytag property and whatever they plan to do with the crumbling Kaskaskia. Unfortunately, from what we've seen, the go-between, Jerry Reynolds, isn't up to the task. I don't know exactly what he's communicating on the city's behalf when he meets with CLE, but I've heard his empty reports back to the city council, just staying the course, carrying their water for CL Enterprises and acting as a CL agent inside the city council. And so I was stunned. I was stunned some time ago when he was in a city council meeting and he came back with his report from CL Enterprises, and it was this: everybody needs to back off CL Enterprises because the bad PR for these crumbling buildings is hurting the city. That's what's hurting the city? Pointing out that there's a problem? Or how about is it the problem itself? Maybe that's the issue, Alderman Reynolds, of crumbling buildings. And that sentiment just summed everything up for a lot of people. We gotta back off CL Enterprises because it's bad for the city. You only think that if you just accept that it's gonna be the way it is. Go along, get along. You don't talk like that if you have an interest in fixing things. The voters in the IVCC Board of Trustees race ensured what appears to be a steady hand for the next few years by re-electing 2 incumbents and rejecting the lies of Crystal Loughran and her people. Crystal, as people have been saying, you lost 2 elections in 1 day. Well, that should be enough to tell you to go away for a while. Just chill out. But if you're glutton for punishment, you want to run again, go ahead. It's your free country. Go ahead, keep running. If you do that, just a word of advice and a request: please don't ever lie, ever, ever, to anyone again the way you lied to my mother just to get her vote. Don't ever do that to anyone. Crystal. It was announced this week that WLPO, WAJK, and The Wolf are the last 3 locally owned media outlets. Why? Because the other radio stations in the area are now under ownership of Shaw Media, which also owns the News Tribune and the papers up and down the Illinois River. So they bought themselves some radio stations. Good. That's fine. We've been competing with them for a long time. But guess what? When a salesperson for anybody but Starved Rock Media, our 3 stations, WLPO, WAJK, WLWF, The Wolf, make a sales call on you, ask them, these other salespeople, if your advertising dollars are going to stay local, or do they have to give a cut to someone somewhere else? If they're telling you the truth, they'll admit they have to get a cut and not all your money's staying here. Now on the news front, well, our multiple awards speak for themselves, as does our track record as the radio news source for 75 years. As I said on Facebook, do you think any outside owners of all these other radio stations and newspapers know the difference between Ottawa and Oglesby or Granville and Grand Ridge? Your advertising choice is clear. The next time Betha or Bob or Mark or John Spencer drop by your business, understand that they want to keep your money local. Starved Rock local. With Easter here, the Hulu streaming channel just dropped an extraordinary show. I stumbled on it. A handful of bright, diverse, outspoken people between 20 and 25 years old met casually with Pope Francis in a show called The Pope Answers. It was done in a funky, leaky building in Rome. The participants are from all over the world. Not all of them are Christian, let alone Catholic. And they're not shy about pushing the Pope on issues from sex abuse in the church to rules that don't allow women to have a bigger role in the church, to the place of LGBTQ+ in the church, to abortion. Everything was on the table. They're able to communicate because they made sure to select young people from around the world who were fluent in Spanish, which of course is the Pope's native language. It's from South America. You can hear the geese going here at the river in Ottawa, Allen Park. So the Pope listens intently. He sometimes asks questions, he sometimes answers, and sometimes he just jumps in, and sometimes he just listens. It's an extraordinary documentary. I sent it right away to my 23-year-old daughter. Fits right in with her. If you're a lapsed Catholic or a strong Catholic, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Protestant, Jewish, if you don't believe in God, or you don't know if you believe in God, it's worth a watch. Because something that resonates with you will be represented in these young people talking to the Pope. So, the election, the independence of our radio stations, the extraordinary dialogue called The Pope Answers on Hulu. Each of them pieces of reality this week. Didn't even talk about the storms. Switching gears, if you know an interesting person or an event that you think other people should know about, I'm looking for subjects of all kinds. It doesn't have to be a take on the news, it could just be something else that's going on. I love that kind of thing, human interest stuff. Call the station at 815-223-3100. Call me there, or you can email me at tom@starvedrock.media. Thank you again to my friend Kathleen Whalen of Whalen Financial on First Street in LaSalle. She's a longtime sponsor of this project, going all the way back to the last iteration, and she's here with us now in this new series. Remember, this weekly project is video-based now, with the audio portion running on 103.9 WLPO Sunday mornings at about 8:50. If you're listening to this on the air on Sunday morning, go check out the video on the Starved Rock Media YouTube page. There's a channel within the Starved Rock Media channel that's just for Tom's Take videos each week. And they're all up there. So you can go back and take a look, see what we talked about so far, and you kind of get the gist of it. So that's it for Tom's Take for this week. Tune in next week to see if I got any more hair growing back from the St. Baldrick's event. Hopefully by June I'll be back to where I should be. For WLPO News, I'm Tom Henson. Talk to you in the morning.